Hello and welcome to Talking the Game as match preview of West Ham United against Leeds United. Both teams got off a flyer in 2022 with victories over Crystal Palace and Burnley, but they take on each other in the FA Cup this Sunday. But next weekend, they take each other on again at the Premier League at the London Stadium once more. So this preview is going to be a little bit different. Otherwise, the previews are going to be copy and paste for next week. So we're changing it up slightly. Gonzo, normally I ask you what you think of Leeds. I'm not going to ask you that. I'm going to keep that for the Premier League one. FA Cup, Bielsa doesn't normally take them serious. 6 of the last 8 years, Leeds have gone out in this round of the FA Cup. 5 of those defeats coming against lower league opposition as well. Do you think Leeds should be taking the FA Cup seriously this season?
Not this season, no. I think they should have done all the other seasons, though. So you might get it all G-squiff and go for it this season. They're too precarious in the league for them, Geo. They really have to concentrate on getting their league form up and running. And this is when you're in that sort of position, this is a luxury competition. Now, the counter argument will be that maybe it will get them some momentum going. But as you just alluded to, they won their last league game against Burnley. So they maybe hopefully got a bit of momentum there. Leeds fans will be disappointed by that, but they've been out of the top division for so long, Geo. And, we constantly advocate going for cup competitions in terms of West Ham and the glory of it, but they've been out the top division for so long. I think it's really important that they do 2 or 3 years in the top flight because they're such a massive club.
I think they should go for it. I think they've got a bit of a cushion on the relegation zone. I've seen some like Sky Sports and that I feel like they're almost trying to drag Leeds United into the relegation battle conversation because it's better for Sky Sports. But when you look at the league table, I think there's enough there to suggest they're not really in it. Yes, there's 2 or 3 bad weekends of getting dragged in. But that's getting dragged in. At the moment, I think they're okay. And I think they've done particularly well considering the injuries they've had and stuff. So I don't think they'll take it seriously. Bielsa just doesn't take the cup seriously too often. Last season was probably set up for them to have a go at it, and they didn't really bother, getting beat by Crawley Town 3-0 as well. And it's got to the point that people's expectations of Leeds in the cup is so low that when they get beat 3-0 by Crawley Town, no one's that bothered. It's sort of like, yeah, right, that's just Bielsa. Fair enough, we move on kind of thing. But I think they should be taking it seriously. I think the league is going nowhere for them this season. I don't think they'll get relegated. I don't think they'll finish in the top half. So in order to give the fans something, and they do have entertaining football in that anyway, but just so they've got something to look forward to, something to distract them from the league form, because they will lose a few games and stuff later on in the season. So they've got the cup there as a little something to look forward to now. And they've also got a lot of good young players, Leeds. So I think the cup gives them the opportunity to try and get them in, because he's having to use them in the Premier League at the moment. So I think the FA Cup's actually a really good competition for Leeds, their fans, and their players. Now, going away from the cup, Gonzo, January transfer window is obviously open. What do you? I think if there's any club in the league, there's probably 1 or 2 others as well, but I think Leeds is one of those I'm looking at thinking they need to be busy this window.
I totally agree, and I was thinking that because obviously we were doing the review, and I know you'd sort of ask about them. And I was thinking that actually just 5 minutes ago, they really do need to do something. I agree that they won't get relegated, and I think I've said that consistently all season. But they can't be so cocksure of that. And looking where they are in the league, and Newcastle were desperate to spend money, and it looks like Newcastle might have got Trippier. I might have that wrong. They have. Okay, so it only takes 1 or 2 to sign for Newcastle, and the others think, oh, hold on, he's signing. Okay, we're probably going to be safe. I'll join that, safe in the knowledge that I won't get relegated. If Newcastle's like signing those players, then Leeds have got to be looking at Newcastle, because you're dealing with sort of similar size. I know Leeds have won lots of trophies, but similar size clubs in those two. So Leeds are going to be looking over their shoulder, thinking we don't want these boys coming up here. So I do think they need to strengthen just to insulate themselves from that little bottom group. But you know what? He gets the most out of a lot of players, bigger than the sum of their parts. And a lot of the time, players like Harrison, he's got every bit of ability possibly can out of that player. But then he's got these superstar players that do perform for them, like Phillips and like the what's his name, Raphinha, is that it? The Brazilian one? Good player, great players, those two. he could do with another one of those in there, just to make sure in whatever department of the pitch, their goal difference ain't great. So just to help them out a little bit, Geo, definitely. If they could find 40 million and spend it well, I think it would help them massively.
Yeah, I think they need to get bodies in. I think they're just struggling with injuries. They always have done. I suppose it's sort of a repercussion of the way that Leeds play, and it's just one of those things you're just going to have to accept, which is fine. But then you've also got to then counterbalance that by making sure you've got the bodies in, so that you can play like that. You can put up with injuries to your players and stuff. But earlier in the season, they had like no fit centre backs. Some games have got no fit centre midfielders. They haven't played young players here and there, and I think it's become fashionable, if you like, to sort of look down at Bielsa and almost try and make on that he's struggling at Leeds. And to some extent he has been, but I also think he's done a wonderful job and he's still a wonderful coach. You spoke of Raphinha. Well, before Leeds fans say they bought a couple of players, I'm aware you bought a couple. The only problem is I don't know how good they are. So I don't know if they're like Michaelenko for Everton, which is inevitable he's going to start the next game, or whether it's like the Wolves signing they've just made, the Japanese youngster who, well, he's not even young, he's mid-20s, that Japanese player they've signed who probably won't feature for Wolves this season. He'll probably go back out on loan to Grasshoppers. I just don't know how important these signings that you've just made are and how good they are, because one of them was at the under-23 game yesterday watching them, so that would insinuate he's probably going to play for under-23, so it's hard to get a barometer with your new signings. So what we're talking about is more important signings. But speaking about players that might join Leeds, what about players that might leave? Raphinha, you mentioned, has been heavily linked with moves away to bigger clubs. Bayern Munich in particular is one club that appears to be forever sniffing around him. Is it even more important to keep a hold of him than it is to bring players in?
The trouble is, we know this from being at West Ham. It's that Wilfried Zaha thing again. It's about being a club that's a mid-table club and a little bit lower, that has a player that looks like he can perform well at a higher level. We've had so many of them at West Ham over the years, where the big clubs look and I think actually we'll take him.
Leeds took one of them.
Sorry?
They did took one of them.
They did, absolutely. Yeah, Sodom. It's just the way it goes, unfortunately. And when you're looking at players like that, the big clubs will look around the league for these stellar performers. I mean, Jack Grealish, look what happened to Jack Grealish. They'll look at them and think, okay, he's doing a job for a lower league, not a lower league, you know what I mean? A lesser club, if you like. He can come and do something for us. So I think that would be a worry for them. He looks good every time you see him play. He looks a threat. We discussed a couple of videos ago about when you watch a game and you see an opposition player, particularly when you're in a stadium, you feel it when he gets the ball and you think, this is not good. This is not good. He's going to do us damage. You get that with Raphinha. You feel like he's going to hurt your team. And it's hard to keep players like that. It really is. They've got a couple of real good prize assets there, and they need to be very, very careful with them, which is why it's pivotal to stay up. But I mean, Raphinha needs to, I'd say this as a West Ham fan, but Raphinha it would be nice for him to stay and help that club survive this season. I don't like it when I see it. I don't like the top clubs taking everybody all the time, particularly not mid-season. I don't like it at all. So I hope he stays. And much it pains me to say, I sort of hope St. Maximum stays at Newcastle, and I hope Zaha stays at Palace. And I just, crikey, it's all we've got. Us smaller clubs. Yeah, all we've got is our talisman here and there to help us through against these big clubs who can buy everybody. Hopefully he stays, mate.
Anyway, we're going to discuss West Ham, but before we do, make sure you download the One Football app. Whether you're a Leeds fan, a West Ham fan, or a fan of any other club in the Premier League, or around Europe, or around the world, it doesn't matter, because this app has got everything. Keep up to date with the latest injuries at Leeds, there's plenty of them. The latest transfer rumours for West Ham United, there's plenty of them. It's all on the Football app. It's completely free to download. Please use the link in the description and the pinned comments of this video, and stay ahead of the news with your club. Gonzo. Well, first of all, I'll give you the West Ham team news. We spoke about it in a cup of tea yesterday, but just in case you haven't watched it, obviously West Ham have recalled Mipo, Debeko, Conor Coventry and Anang as well from their loans. But if they feature on Sunday against Leeds United, they cannot go out on loan again unless to go to the club we've just recalled them from, because there's a rule in football which you can only play for a maximum of 2 clubs per season. So obviously they played for the club they've been on loan at, so if they play for West Ham on Sunday, they can't appear for another club this season. So you've got to take that into consideration when picking your 11s you'd like to see on Sunday afternoon. But also West Ham have got a couple of confirmed COVID cases. We're unsure of the identities of these players as yet, but COVID is certainly going to be impacted West Ham this weekend. We're going to, myself and Gonzo, for the sake of our 11s, we're going to pretend there's none of that. We're going to pretend, well, we don't know who it is, so we can't really guess. But so we're going to pretend that COVID doesn't exist for the next 10 minutes while we discuss our teams. But before we discuss 11s, Gonzo, we had some people sending questions for the cup of tea, and they were very much like, they weren't quite worded as such, but it was pretty much like, are you arsed about the FA Cup? We've got the Premier League, we've got the Europa League, we've got the FA Cup. Usually, me and you sit here and we jump up and down about how important the FA Cup is and stuff. Do you still have that energy, or you're a bit more like, whatever? I mean, your 11's going to tell us, but before we get on to that, what you...
well, the Norwich rescheduling has killed it for me, I've got to say. That's the one. Yes, I'm up for the cup. I want to win the cup. I want to get through this round. But we've got Norwich midweek, and then we've got Leeds again. And we have to win those 2 games just to give us the 6 points so as we can get into a point in a window where we're bringing some players in. We've sort of regained some form as well. I think we can handle. I think he can put out almost the same team on Wednesday. And I think we're following Sunday, won't it? I guess. I think he can do that on those games because we've had a bit of a rest, but only if he doesn't have those players featuring again in the cup. So I think we've got to try and win it with some lesser players, mate.
Yeah, I kind of agree, to be honest with you. This is the problem with the Norwich game being slap bang in the middle of these 2 Leeds games, because you could have played a similar 11 in both, taking the cup seriously. But now, the difference between this and the League Cup, and I wasn't even that keen on the League Cup earlier on in the season until we advanced in the stages, is that the FA Cup run simultaneously to the Europa League. So when the week you don't have a Europa League game, you'd have an FA Cup game instead. And I almost think we don't have the squad to do it. I don't think we've got the squad to compete on all 3 fronts. I'm writing down my hypothetical 11 I'd like to see here. I'm like, well, I can't play him in case he gets injured. I can't play him because he's too important. All of a sudden, players are picking themselves, really, because we've just got that limited options. And Leeds are going to be in the same boat. But I think when it comes to picking your team, I think to some extent, I was a bit gutted when we got Leeds in the cup, because I would have liked a lower league team. A, because it would have been a bit easier, but also B, there's no romance in the FA Cup of playing Leeds United. You know, this TV schedule's rubbish for this weekend. I had a look at the FA Cup game that's on. It's all Premier League, playing Premier League and stuff. It's rubbish. I want to see League Two playing a Premier League club. I want to see an upset on the TV. And this doesn't feel like an FA Cup game for me. Obviously it is and stuff, but because it's Leeds, we've played them the following weekend as well. The magic's not quite there. I'm not really feeling it. I might, come Sunday, I might wake up thinking, hey, FA Cup day. But I'm not really feeling it just now. And I think we've got more important priorities this season, and that's the Premier League and the Europa League. And I think you're going to tell that by the 11 I'm picking here. But saying all that, Ariel Angle?
Yeah, he will be for this one. He needs a game, doesn't he, really? Let's be perfectly honest. So, might be one of his last games for West Ham. You never know. So, but yeah, I'll put him in goal.
How would you like the defence to line up?
It ain't good. I've got to be
no,
honest
mine neither. Don't worry.
No, I do apologise, but I think I've already mitigated my team by my previous statement. Ashby, Diop, Elise, Longello.
I've gone similar but different. I've gone for Ashby, Baptiste, Elise, and Fredericks. I don't think we can play Diop or Dawson. It's because one of them gets injured, then what we're doing, kind of thing. But I do think the Ashby thing, while he's got very little experience and stuff, it doesn't feel like you're putting a youngster in with Harrison Ashby, does it? It feels a bit like you're putting in someone that's on the brink of the first team anyway, actually. Yeah. So it doesn't feel like you're quite downgrading too much. I think Fredericks needs game time. We've got to get him in the team as and when we can. And then the centre backs, at least with Baptiste and Elise, at least they've got that understanding from the 23s. if they're up against Bamford, they're in trouble. If they're up against Gelhardt, they're in trouble. But hopefully Bielsa doesn't play either of them up front and he goes for someone even lesser. But I just don't see, rumours are that Dawson's been nursing an injury the last few weeks as well. So you've got to get him out the firing line completely. We need to look after the players we've got available. So, not bit young in the back line, but
yeah. Well, my team's been diluted even more because I completely forgot. Actually, I forgot Fredericks was even at the club. So now you've just mentioned him. I've scribbled
Moyes as well.
I've scribbled absolutely. I've scribbled a name out on my team, and Fredericks is now in the team, but not in defence. Fun, yeah.
Okay, well, that's interesting. I mean, the midfield is where we do have some options. We've got another position where we've got no options again, but in midfield we do have some. How would you like to line up in the middle?
I've gone Crowell and Noble, but it would be nice to have Coventry on the bench now to give that a bit of a buffer on there, mate.
Yeah, I've gone for Crowell, Noble, and Coventry. I'm aware that keeps him at the club beyond the January transfer window. I'm all right with that. I think we could do with some options anyway, and I think it's changed from the summer. I think coming out the summer transfer window into the season, I mean, I was disappointed Coventry left anyway on loan, but we had Alex Crowell, and I think I think it would have been fair to assume Alex Crowell was going to be part of the team and used frequently by David Moyes. Since between now and then, I think we've discovered, and I think it's fair to say, he's not really getting much opportunity from the manager. So for whatever reason, but the result means David Moyes clearly doesn't rate Alex Crowell enough. So actually, let's get Coventry in, who might be here next season. Whereas I think it's getting to the point where I think we're all reaching the conclusion that Crowell probably won't be with us beyond this season. So I'd put Coventry in there with Noble and Crowell. Ahead of your Crowell and Noble, what you got?
Fredericks right wing, Fornell's in the middle, and Masuaku left wing. I'm sorry. All right, I'm not taking it seriously at all, am I?
I think it's a good game for Fornals though. Given that he's been out for a little while with COVID, I think he's probably one of the players that could do and benefit from this fixture.
Yeah, and he's unlikely to start in the Wednesday game against Norwich, considering Lanzini's excellent form and Vlasic, starting to really progress, isn't he? So, I'd play him in that one certainly. So yourself?
I'm gonna be a bit cruel. I know I've just said not that bothered about the game and it's the FA Cup and stuff. I still don't want to see Masuaku play. I don't. It's the Yarmolenko factor. What's the point? Like, what we're gonna Coventry's in there because we can discover something. At least say Ashby, Baptiste in there because we can have a look at them, give them a bit of experience. Fredericks, Fornals, get them game time because we will use them later on this season. But Masuaku, Yarmolenko, I'm a bit like, well, what's the point? They're going to go in. They might play well, but I'd almost rather they didn't play well. And I know that sounds horrific, but what that does is it gives Moyes excuses to use them again in future in more important games. I don't want that. I don't want Moyes to have reasons to play these players in a way. Like the worst thing that happened to West Ham recently in a strange way was Masuaku scoring that winner against Chelsea because it meant that he featured in the following games. Had he not scored that goal, I'm not convinced he'd have played as often as he did. I think it almost skewed stuff a little bit. So I've gone for Okuflex because again, we can discover something. And Fornals is the sort of the attacking midfielders, if you like. I was going to go for Vlasic because I think it's important we get him up and running as well. But again, we need him for Norwich and Leeds in the Premier League. So he's almost like, because Ben Rama's gone, he's almost like promoted himself to I'm too important for this fixture. That leaves the striker. Who are you going for?
Yarmolenko. Good team, huh?
I haven't wrote anyone down. I don't know
your team's probably better than mine then. Your striker will probably do better, Yarmolenko.
I don't know what to write. I was like, Antonio, no, I don't want him. Yarmolenko, no, I don't want him. Sonny Perkins, well, maybe, but then it's like an under-23s team I've got out plus Mark Noble in midfield. It's not good, is it?
No. But I mean, it's the Norwich game that's done it. I mean, I don't want to, look, we know the squad's a little bit thin, and I know there'll be, calls, why don't we bring someone in by the 1st of January or whatever. I do think it's the Norwich game that's done this, and we are in a privileged position. We are in the knockout stages in Europe, where whatever it is, 5th in the Premier League. We do just have other priorities. We gave it a go in the League Cup. We really had a go. We really did. And regular watchers of Hammer's Chat will know, myself and Geo, every year we prioritise the FA Cup. But the context is that we're in a different position now. We're not mid-table and we are in Europe, and we've already done the hard work. We've already done all the heavy lifting in Europe. We're now down to the glory stages in Europe. We don't have the squad to do the heavy lifting in the early stages of the FA Cup. I wouldn't be surprised, Gio, if Moyes takes it a little bit more seriously than we have, by the way.
I think he will. I think we might see Declan Rice and Antonio and Jared Bowen play this game.
For a half or something, yeah.
I expect a Europa League type team in a League Cup early stages type team here, which is 5 or 6 first team players and 5 or 6 rotated youngsters come in as well to fill the 11 up. I think Moyes will take it far more seriously than you and I. But as for the striker thing, I mean, I don't even know what to do. I don't really want to see Mipo Debeko play because I'd like what we discussed yesterday. I'd rather he went out on loan somewhere lower than the Championship and just got goals. It's difficult, really, because I feel a bit sorry for Moyes with this one, actually, because in a way, with West Ham fans, I don't think you can lose here. There'll be some West Ham fans, of course, that prioritise the FA Cup, and I completely understand why for years we have. But if Moyes puts out a similar team to what we're running, fans will turn around and say, well, you can understand why he's done that. He doesn't really have much option. But if he puts out a stronger team does well, the fans will turn around and say, well, that's all he can do because he's got no other options. So I think Moyes is actually on a bit of a win-win here, which is good. It's a bit of a privileged position to be in. It's not often we're in this position as well. In the cup of tea, we had a question from Chris. We've got 2 really regulars called Chris. We've got Chris Mills and Chris Harris. It's one of them. I think it was Chris Mills on Twitter. He basically put up a screenshot of the London Stadium. He said, well, Leeds have obviously got 9,000 tickets for the game on Sunday, so there'll be a big away end on Sunday as well. He basically said there's a lot of home tickets available. Why do you think this is?
Why do I think it is?
He basically saying he was a bit surprised that there's so many tickets available because they're quite cheap. Adult tickets are from, now this is also banned from £10.
But to be fair, Chris, I think the answer's massive fixture congestion, lots of games, lots of choice to go to, and we just had Christmas as well. Add in the fact that anyone that goes into a workplace or has got kids at school or whatever, everyone knows someone with COVID at the moment. Everyone, and a lot of them are not ill, but they're all staying at home. So there's a lot of people who can't go to school or can't go to work or can't do this. So I think, and that is a large percentage of people. Add all that together, play other games coming up. If you've got a choice and you can get to that London Stadium, are you going to choose? Bearing in mind what myself and Gio have just said about the FA Cup and the team we're likely to put out, bearing in mind Bielsa's history and the teams that he puts out, are you going to choose to go to
TV?
It's what? It's on TV. Okay, yeah. Are you going to choose to watch this game and make that, bearing in mind you're probably skint after Christmas, you're going to spend your train fare on going to watch West Ham Leeds, or you're going to wait until Wednesday and go and watch the league game when everyone's playing Rice and Antonio against Norwich? You're probably going to save up your pennies and go and watch the Norwich game. I think it's 4 or 5 factors. I think they all play into it. And by the way, there will not be 9,000 Leeds fans coming. I'd be very, very impressed. I will take my hat off. I don't have a hat, but I would take it off to them. If 9,000 people come down from Yorkshire to watch that game, honestly, I'd be really impressed, but they won't.
I wouldn't be surprised if Leeds brought that many. They've got one of the best crowds in the Premier League, really. I wouldn't be surprised they do, because also it probably gives those who can't get access to the Premier League tickets for the away end against West Ham in next week. That crowd that can't get those tickets can probably purchase these ones and get down, get their points up. And it's at the end of the day, it's an away day in London. It's a reasonable kickoff time on a Sunday and stuff. So I can see why they'd go. The tickets would probably be cheap for the Leeds fans too. I don't know. I'll only assume that West Ham are charging a similar amount for the away fans as the home fans for this one. I hope they are. Sure. But I completely agree with Gonzo. I don't blame anyone not going to this game. It's 3 home games in 8 days for West Ham fans. It's a lot. It's a big demand. And unfortunately, people are having to prioritise their social events at the moment because of COVID and COVID testing and so on and so forth. And yeah, it's no surprise there's loads of tickets available, and the club have priced it competitively. They've done all they can to make it accessible, but it's just. Yeah, it's understandable, I guess. There's nothing there to see. Anyway, are you confident for this one? Are you Googling ticket prices for Leeds or something?
No, I am Google. I was actually just Googling the match time, actually, which was obviously 2:00, and then the league game one is on a Sunday at 2:00 as well. Obviously, the Norwich one is on the Wednesday. Am I confident?
Yeah.
No, because I've got no idea. I've got no barometer. I don't know what. It's really hard to be because we don't know what team Leeds are going to put out. We don't know what team West Ham are going to put out. So, look, if I thought it was going to be Leeds' first team against West Ham under 23s, of course I wouldn't be confident. If I thought Bielsa wasn't going to take it seriously and he was going to play youngsters, that being said, they got some good youngsters. When they played us in the league and that Cresswell lad played at the back, I was very impressed with him. I thought he was a very good player. And I know they've got some good young players. In fact, I've got a superstar kid, actually. I can't think of his name, but
who's very good. Gelhardt up front, who's sort of expected to be.
Yes, yeah. So they've got some. Yeah, they got some real talent there. But again, if I thought that West Ham were going to play Declan Rice, Antonio, and Bielsa wasn't going to take it seriously, I think we'd cane them. Because they are I've said this all the time. They're the perfect match for us. The perfect match. It's exactly, if you were to design a team to play against David Moyes' tactics, it would be Leeds. And that's nothing against Leeds. I really like the way they play. And I think I've spoken warmly enough about them. I hope they stay up. I hope they keep their best player, blah, 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 blah. But it's hard. It's hard. We don't know. It could be any one of those permutations could happen in this one. So hard to be confident, hard to predict.
I'm relatively confident because I think what we can do is use past evidence of cup games from both managers and guess as to what they're going to do. I expect Leeds to put out a very strongly rotated side with a lot of youngsters in that team. I expect that from Leeds. And I expect Moyes to do what he did in the League Cup in the group stage of Europa League, which is 5 starters and 6 youngsters / rotated players coming in. Plus the players that we will be bringing in rotated will be Fredericks, Fernals. These players are good players. We're not bringing in rubbish one. Well, maybe 1 or 2, but we'll be bringing in Premier League quality players, and I think that's possibly the difference between us and Leeds at the moment, is because they've just got a lot more injuries than we do, but their squad depth is a lot younger and inexperienced than what West Ham's have. And while we think we've got a lack of squad depth, we do, because we're competing in European football. But if we were competing in only the Premier League and the FA Cup, I think our squad depth would actually be pretty reasonable, and probably better than Leeds. So I'm relatively confident because I think we'll see a better, more serious team from Moyes and what me and you're wanting to see, and a not very experienced team from Marcelo Bielsa. So any final words from yourself, Gonzo, as well as, I know it's difficult, but
it is difficult. Okay, I'll listen. I'll go with 2-1 for the score prediction, but with the disclaimer that I haven't got
asterisks next to it. Yeah,
I haven't got a bloody clue.
Down at the bottom, haven't a clue.
If you absolutely, if it turns around at Leeds 1-3-0 because we'd played all our youngsters, I wouldn't be surprised at that either. Any team can win it. I guess it'll be down to not which team wants to, but which manager wants to. I think this is what this comes down to, purely and simply. If David Moyes wakes up in the morning or whatever, or decides this week in training that actually he wants to go for the FA Cup and get through to the next round because he's confident of bringing some players in and he wants to be in the next round, West Ham win. If Bielsa decides actually he really needs this and he's going to play his first team because he thinks it will give the club a really good boost. Maybe Leeds aren't playing on Wednesday. I should have checked the fixtures, really.
No, they don't have a midweek game.
Then, if he decides so, then Leeds win it comfortably. We will make it difficult for them, though. I think however we play, even if Moyes goes for full shut-up shot mode and try and nick a goal at a corner or something like that, don't be surprised to see a couple of our favourites, like, as I say, like Antonio or like Souček or someone like that, to play 45 minutes. Don't be surprised. And if they do, they can make a difference in games like this. Hey, you know what, mate? It's a good way to pass 90 minutes on a Sunday.
What I will say is something we forgot about, but we've mentioned it already, which is COVID. We have COVID cases in the squad at West Ham, so we don't know who they are. That's going to impact the lineup. But I think it might also impact what David Moyes wants to do, I guess, because he might be thinking, well, I don't really want to play these players and stuff because I need to protect them at all costs. His numbers for Norwich is already depleted because of the COVID cases. We don't know who they are, but his squad's already thinner for Norwich than it was against Crystal Palace on New Year's Day. So I would completely understand him. Moyes almost didn't really bother with this fixture at all, and I'd expect him to be quite almost aggressive with his explanation as well when he gets asked about his team lineup, and for him to come out and say that COVID's caused issues, he's got injuries, so on.
Like that with the journalists. Don't you ask that, you stupid fool.
Well, he's threatened journalists to slap him in the past as well, but that's a different.
He has, hasn't he?
Yeah, do you remember it?
I do.
It was just a joke for people. For people that don't know, for people that haven't seen it, he said that after the interview, but the camera was still rolling, so the footage is out there, where he just jokingly says to someone, "I'll give you a slap," because I think they must have asked a question that he wasn't really keen on.
Yeah. It was a joke. It was a joke. Yeah.
But anyway, we'll leave it there. For my score prediction, I'll say 2-1 Leeds. I just don't. Yes. No, 2-1 West Ham. I think Moyes will take it a bit more serious than Bielsa. I'll say 2-1 West Ham. Anyway, you can join us at 12:55 on Sunday, where we will be taking a look at the West Ham team as well as the Leeds team. We'll find out what both managers are going to be doing at 12:55. You can come back here to this channel. We'll have our build-up show. We'll have the watch along, and then we'll have a review as well. Everything you need for West Ham match day is on this channel. So make sure you subscribe, drop a like on the video if you've enjoyed it, leave us your comments below with what team you'd like to see, how serious, because there'll be lots of people out there who are getting angry at me and Gonzo right now thinking, no, we need to play our first 11. Let us know in the comments, but there'll also be people out there who completely agree with us. Let us know in the comments. We'll have a read of them and we'll catch you in a bit.